Hey guys, and welcome to part 3 of my fall junk journal series. In this video, I'm going to be showing how I bind my signatures into the cover. In part 1, I went over how I made this cover. In part 2, I went over the signatures. So if you missed those, definitely go check those out. I will leave those linked for you guys. And before I go ahead and get started, I'm just going to be showing you guys the basic tools and things I will be using to bind my signatures into the journal. And the first thing I'm going to show you guys is the needles. You're going to need a sewing needle. I just bought this pack of yarn darners, and the important thing you want to make sure is that the eye of the needle isn't too wide. Otherwise, it's going to rip your pages. So you're going to need that. And then you're going to need a little tool like this. I'm not sure if this is going to focus, but I used this for a couple of years, and it's just I think this is like a nail art tool, but I recently picked up an awl, and this is going to work a lot better for me. So you're going to need like a pokey tool like that to poke through the pages. And then you're going to need some string or thread of some sort. You can use embroidery floss. You can use like waxed string. I'm just going to be using this. I think this is like baker's twine string or something like that. I'm going to be using this. Then you're going to need some like washi or just like some tape, and maybe some like binder clips or paper clips to help hold your pages in place. And then you're going to need something to absorb the awl or the pokey tool when you puncture through the pages. So I'm just using a book that I've been using for a while for my junk journals. And of course, you're going to need some scissors. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you start binding is make a template for your signatures, and the template is used to make sure that your signatures are sewed or are binded into the journal and they're spaced evenly apart. So how I made the template is I just cut a piece of paper that is the same size as my spine, and my spine is 9 1/4 by 1 3/4 inches. So I just cut out a piece of paper the same size, and then I labeled one end of it the top, and you'll see why I did that later on in the video. But all I did to get the spacing evenly is I just took the piece of paper and I folded it in half, and then from there I folded each end into that middle part, and then I did the same thing widthwise. So I just folded it in half and then folded it in half again to get those lines. And then once I got those lines, and I'm not sure if it's going to pick up on camera, but you'll see there are lines, and then I just took a pen and then I marked an X. Now there are 3 lines. So I could do 3 signatures if I wanted, but I'm not going to be doing 3 signatures. I'm going to be doing 2. So I'm just going to be using these outside lines and not the middle part. So before I bind my signatures in place, I want to make sure that my papers are placed where I want them to be and everything's kind of lined up. So I want to move this up a little bit. Just want to make sure your placement is where you want it to be. And once you have that done, you are just going to open it up, and you're going to take some paper clips or really long bobby pins or binder clips, and you're going to place in place. This just helps it from moving around. And then I'm going to take my template, and I just took some of that washi tape because I'm gonna have this taped down right here. And I'm really going to try to get that X right on the center. And this is going to be the first signature. So I'm just going to make sure when I fold it that that the X is right on the money. Okay. And then using my awl, I am just going to poke a hole straight through. Okay. Okay, so now we have our holes poked through. Now we're going to do the same thing to our spine. And this is where it comes in handy to have an awl, just like with a bigger area to push down, because if you try to use a little tool like this, it's a little bit harder. So right now I'm just going to poke pretty hard through there. And then just make sure that all of your holes have gone through, which they have. Oops. And so now we are ready to bind. So I'm just going to quickly thread my needle. So when I make my journals, I kind of like to do like 2 lengths and then cut it right there, 2 lengths of the journal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle hole and then find my way through. And you might need to mess with this a little bit. You might need to kind of move it around and play with it. But I'm going to go straight through there. And then I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail right here, and I'm just going to tape it down so I don't accidentally pull it through. And then I'm going to find the center hole, and I'm just going to begin binding this in. So I'm going to go out the back. And then I'm going to come through And then I'm going to go through the top hole, which is right here. I'm going to pull that through. And then I'm going to go through the top of the signature. Oh, I went a little too wide on that one. I'm going to pull it until it's tight. And then I'm going to go through the center again, trying to be careful not to re-thread the thread, if that makes sense. Like, try not to go through the thread itself, but to the side of it. I'm going to pull that out. And you might need to reattempt. Sometimes it'll get stuck, so kind of just play with it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back through that center hole. And pull. And then I'm going to go through the back of the last hole. You can hear my dog snoring in the background. I apologize. Okay. And then I'm going to go through that last, right there. I'm going to pull it through as tight as possible. Make sure everything is tight in the back. You can see I have a little bit of slack. So I'm just going to pull it tight. Then I am going to take my washi off. And for me, this is always the hardest part, is getting a very tight tie right here. You really, really want to try to get this part tight. I'm going to tie it off. Okay, so now I have my first signature sewed in, and I like to leave a little bit of a tail. So here it is. So now we can take these little guys off, and I have my first signature sewed in. So now I'm going to do the same thing to my second signature. So again, I'm just going to take and thread my needle. So now I'm just going to do the last signature. And again, I just threaded my needle, and I just took 2 lengths of the book. And the holes look weird because I actually had to punch these because I was a little bit off right here, so I had to redo it. So that's why there's like a couple like bigger holes in this one. So again, I'm just going to take and washi down. I'm going to go ahead and tape down the string so I don't pull it through. I'm going to start in the center hole, and I am going to poke through and pull. Then I'm going to find the center hole of the back signature in the spine and pull through. Oops, get that washi out of the way. I'm going to pull through. I'm trying to show you guys different angles just in case with the first signature you didn't quite see it well enough. And then it doesn't really matter if you decide to go up or down first. I think I went down with the last one, so I'll show you just going through the top. So I'm going to go through that top hole and pull. And then I'm going to find this hole, and you might need to move it around a little bit to find the center. You might need to like remove a paper clip and make sure you're going through the correct spots. So like right here, I'm just making sure I'm hitting the center of the pages. It looks like my card's having trouble right here. So I'm just gonna pull that through. Make sure the back is fine. And then again, I'm going to go through that center and kind of the same thing. You just want to make sure that you're going through each hole and not like hitting it somewhere else on the page, otherwise things will get kind of crooked and funky looking. So there we go. Then I'm going to go through that center hole in the spine and pull through. And then I'm going to go through the last hole, which is on the bottom. I'm going to pull that. Make sure that it is tight. And then go through the last. Right here, you can just go ahead and take off your needle and then make sure everything is nice and tight and pulled down. You don't want there to be any slack. You don't want it to move. You're going to take off your tape. And then you're going to tie it off again. Again, this part is the hardest for me. It's just holding it down and trying to keep it tight. And then like kind of move your finger at the last second and do it fast. Got a little tail, and I can take these off. All right, guys, so I am finished. Everything's bound in here nice and tight. Nothing's moving around. Everything's where it should be. And I really hope that this video was useful or informational. If you're just learning how to junk journal and make your own journals, I can't wait to fill this thing up with some pictures and bits and pieces of ephemera and some journaling. So if you aren't currently subscribed and you would like to see more junk journaling videos, definitely go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And until my next video, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching. Bye.